Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 16th of September. So, this week's a busy old week ahead. We've got three central banks. We start off with the Fed, we then got the Bank of England, and then we've got the Bank of Japan. So, three central banks. As you can see today, it's a relatively quiet day here. We've got some Empire State Manufacturing Index later. On a quiet day, it might give a little bit of movement, but we've got all these bank holidays today, tomorrow in China. Tomorrow, Canadian dollar, we've got inflation figures due out, and earlier on we got the German economic sentiment. So some numbers coming out there which could create a bit of volatility, obviously with the CAD there, maybe the euro in the morning. This US retail sales will be watched on Tuesday, tomorrow afternoon. The rest of the picture is really built up of central banks. So we've got the Fed, will they or won't they? There's expectations that really, the more solid expectation they'll cut by a quarter. It's whether they'll cut by a quarter or a 0.5%, and that seems to be keeping the market bouncing backward and forward for now. We've got then on Thursday we've got the Bank of England rate out there, expected to be left untouched. Voting though, watch out for the voting. The voting would change the dynamics of the movement here. Whether that actually is as printed, a slight change in that can show things. It's not going to make any difference to the base rate itself initially, but of course it's the expectation for next time though. And then we got the Bank of Japan there on Friday, not expected to make any real changes there, but we'll see what they say in the statement, whether things are improving without them having to do too many more changes. Okay, Canadian retail sales on Friday, so really it's important to assess the week ahead. I know it's Monday, we're only trading Monday potentially, but if we're swing trading, we're swinging for more than one day. So hopefully it goes really well in the one day. Anyway, let's have a look at these markets in detail. Starting off looking at euro dollar here, and well, the euro's pushing up this morning. It's had a decent bounce last week. It came off the monthly pivot there quite solidly. It did have the help of the 4-hourly 200 underneath there, and it's moved up quite nicely. We've since now put a higher low in. It's structurally it's partially broken the trend, but of course if we were looking at trend lines on here, we would be drawing across from the highs here through, well, just drawing that fractionally badly, but actually can I adjust it without it? Oh, I can. There we go. So it's not totally structurally broken, but it's arguably now in a current channel. So we're sitting in this channel, riding down at the moment. So a break of this trend line would be even more positive to what we're seeing with a higher low. So to say, structurally, the early part is changing. The key part would be if we break back above this trend line. Short term, where you can see really the big moves were on Thursday for most of these markets. Friday chopped along, really didn't miss anything on Friday at all. Today we've seen a higher low already there, and today we've seen a higher low as well. Pivot swing, it's really pushed up here. My concern is my thoughts we could end up just sitting there in a chop for the rest of the day. We'll see. See what it's all dollar sort of backed at the moment, and we're really looking at what's happening with the dollar and the rumours coming out with the dollar more than anything else. The pound, the dollar, similar price action here. It's similar trend, similar structure, everything similar. Might as well be trading one of them at the moment. Anyway, the pounds again partially higher lows, etc. Short-term structure certainly more positive, and it's breaking through here, and it's really a question of whether we can continue as we run through the week. Can we get a setup? At the moment I've got no setup on either of these. maybe with a breakout of a trend that might help it, give it a bit more juice, but we'll see. The main winner really today is the yen. It's pushing on against all the majors, and certainly the US dollar here continuing through. Now I got into this last week and I ended up closing out, which was at the time a stroke of genius, but now when I look back, it's well, it's broken back through the lows again there. Anyway, lower highs, lower lows here. I mean, we're in a descending channel effectively here. It's really well structurally formed. Just really looking for either consolidation or retracements on this to get back into the short side of things. There may have been opportunities on Friday there in the morning there when it broke the lows there and started going down, but it chopped for most of the day realistically. It's all right. Harry hindsight suggesting where we could have got in, but it could just as well, with the divergences coming through on these lows, we could have seen traders trying to push it. Well, they probably were buying, and they will be buying, and we'll see big swings of buyers into the yen, dollar yen, of course, because it's pushing down. But goodness, don't do it. It could go a long way further. Aussie dollar, the Aussie, like the European currencies here, pushing up, but not quite as much. I mean, having said that, it's actually probably better structurally than the. I think let me just pull this down here. Sorry, it's structurally breaking the trend here. So it hasn't. Well, it put a little higher low around here, but a clearer higher low just hasn't happened yet. So. But it's got the potential, but it's broken its trend. But it was working from a lower start point. It hasn't been as strong as the euro and the pound. But we'll see. It's sitting there around its S1 at the moment. Maybe if we can develop a bit of momentum here, we could see it running up. Sorry, S1 R1. We can see it run up towards its R2. It's I'm just looking across to the left-hand side here, seeing it's got resistance before it gets there. Nothing to get in the way if it does push off this morning. Don't overly like it. I'd rather be in the euro or the pound, to be fair, against the dollar. Now, the weaker one of the bunch here this morning has been the Canadian dollar. I mean, you can see it's pulled off at the moment, but and it looks okay, sort of thing. But it was looking, when I was looking at it a short while ago, yeah, everything else was getting stronger against the US dollar here. Here, the US dollar is getting stronger against the Canadian, and it's sitting in this this support area, and it's whether or not it can actually break down this, and this is really for a swing this week is what I'd be looking for. But we do have the news throughout the week there, but it's inflation. Well, I guess that's big enough to start moving it. Higher inflation won't help it. Lower inflation actually higher inflation will help it on the downside, of course. Lower inflation might see this just popping back up towards the top of this channel. New Zealand dollar, again structurally very similar to the Aussie. It hasn't broken its trend line here, though. The Aussie's outperforming, and it hasn't put the higher low in. So for the upside, the European currencies, the pound, the euro, look better than these commodity currencies pushing up. They're all, I said, all slightly weak. They're not as, let's say, the European currencies, just that bit stronger. Anyway, got the potential. It's got a potential higher low to come through here to be confirmed. Again, this trend-wise isn't really helping it so well at the moment. It's below its trend, but it doesn't mean to say we can't see further upside during the week. I quite like the fact that it's just sitting round its weekly pivot here. It could give us a bit more as we run through. Maybe look at it on the shorter, later this morning and see what he's doing. He's put that sort of nice bullish engulfing candle in there on the previous bar there. It hasn't really broken the highs of that too much yet. We could in the next couple of hours, two more hours to run on this current candle, take a break of that and maybe see a continuation thereof. Right, okay. Other markets here, US dollar, Swissy, etc. Is well, the US dollar's softening against everything here, the Swissy included, and this is continuing to push down. It was in a rising channel there. It looks like it's broken the lower point of that at the moment. It's again inverted. If you look at the euro, etc., it's a bit inverted. It just needs to break the low there. Not quite. A bit more like the Aussie, really, inverted Aussie. Anyway, we'll see what develops with this. It was at one stage looking pretty decent last week. Mid to the end of last week was looking for more upside, but I don't really like going short on this because of the potential for the Swiss National Bank to intervene or do something, say something, even if it's just rhetoric. It could well be moving that. Other markets, quick look then at gold. If I'll find gold, there you are. Gold last week managed to break out its all-time highs and has continued, chipped up again this morning with the unrest around the world at the moment. It's a reasonable buy at some point. not necessarily where it is at the moment. It's really looking for those retracements or consolidation and breakouts to do something with this. But it's had a good time. We'll see how it develops. It needs to do something more for me on that. Oil down this morning for a moment, but yeah, down at the moment. Got a bounce last Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just saw it slow up a little bit again, running into the weekly pivot there. Now we're just short of this week's pivot. Key point here is whether it'll find support on here. There's obviously the producers will be trying their best to do something to stem the fall that we've seen here in prices. It's not where they want to see it, sub $70, etc. But well, has the potential for longer. In a period we'd normally see much more strength as we move into the winter for the northern hemisphere. Anyway, for now we're looking at yeah, just really looking to see the reaction, if it can get down to its weekly pivot at some point today. If it can break, that's great. I'll be trading it down back towards its S1. I prefer to be trading in the trend. It has broke its near-term trend that was sort of running down from these highs here across, and it has put, well, some shorter term time frames, well, 60-minute, there you go, it's put some higher lows in on the way through there, just looking weakish at the moment on this lower time frame. But I generally look at that later in the afternoons to trade. S&Ps, just a quick look at equity markets. Let's just look at the higher time frames. Last week made a decent recovery in the S&Ps, not too far away from all-time highs again. Can it do it? If it starts failing again, well, it's going to struggle for sure, or potentially struggle. 0.5% cut, we'd see it fly through these previous highs here. There'll be loads of stops sitting above there, which would probably feed it even further. But at the moment, ugly pattern as it is, it's got the potential to continue. Moving close to high home, the DAX been following suit, off a bit this morning. Can we find some support this morning? Possibly until the weekly pivot here. They do these equity markets. They do react with the pivots just as well as anything else does. You see the reaction last week and back to the downside. We've now worked in higher lows. Can we get back to this for a potential point of buying? We'll see how it reacts, of course, as ever. Okay, and the FTSE, finally, the FTSE he says, as it's taken its time to load up here. Very consolidated. With the Bank of England this week, it might be a little bit more sort of slow, and it's horribly choppy at the moment. I wouldn't choose this as a market to trade. Like the currencies, I would just sort of step away from this at the moment. There are signs, I should say, that it looks a little bit like it could roll back a bit, but there's no interest rate cut priced in, so anything that was to change there, any cuts to come through, could see this bounce quite nicely. But for now, I shall leave it there. I wish you a great day's trading, and I'll catch you tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye for now. Okay.